morning, Mr. Andy Kim. It's an honor to speak with you today, for real, from Montreal Rocks. Yes,
I'm excited about this.
are you?
Yes, especially since you're in Montreal and you have all those guitars behind you.
I do. I have many actually. Are you in Toronto now?
I'm in Los Angeles at the moment.
Okay, so it's 8:30 for you, right?
It is.
Okay, cool. Do you live in LA or Toronto?
Both places.
So how do you feel about celebrating like the 50th anniversary of a song? Like, does it blow your mind?
I'm always interested in celebrating something.
Yes,
Um, and it just kind of is surreal, to be honest with you. You know, I don't know how this avalanche of interest happened in the past week and into this week. I'm excited about it. Brings back a lot of memories. Brings back the fact that no one wanted to sign me in the U.S.
right.
and uh, and I've always felt uh, that the word no was just another opportunity for me to kind of um, uh,
Push
reach
through.
my own destiny.
Yeah.
And so um, I started my own label in Canada. I was the artist, the writer, the producer, the publisher, and then I became a record company. Um, Not that I wanted to do that,
Hmm.
but um, I just really loved this song, and I just didn't want it to just be not available to anyone who wanted to hear it, you know. And so many months later, we hit number one in Billboard, and John Lennon gave me my gold record, Freeze Frame.
Wow.
So for me, that that song just reminded me again about who I am. I grew up in the tenements of Montreal, Saint-Denis-des-Castelnau near Jean-Talon.
Yes.
That time it wasn't what it is now.
Yeah.
And my whole career is based on a dream.
I think that testament, the song is a testament of not just believing in yourself. It's not just a love song. It's like I know in the early 70s you were at a point where nobody wanted, not that nobody wanted to work with you, but people figured your 2 minutes are up or your 5 minutes of fame are up. And it's like, he wrote Sugar Sugar and a bunch of, bubblegum songs and like he's over. It's over with him. But you had that song, you believed in that song, right? You really, really believe, like you hired musicians, you produced, like you did it all on your own because the belief was so strong. And I read about that and I'm like, you're not you, I know you left Montreal like as a teenager with like a guitar and a dream. And it sounds like it needs to be, first of all, either a Netflix series or like an HBO. Like, have you not written a biography yet?
No, you know what? Some people have come to me and talked about a documentary
Yes.
and um, and for me, I'm the third of four brothers. My
Okay.
mom and dad were immigrants from the mountains of Lebanon.
Yeah.
They came to Montreal, and I lived a life that was filled with love at home, um, and had a dream. But it's the discovery of who you are that's more important than anything. I heard something that I've held on to for the longest time, and that is, I am living my one and only life with
Mm.
no sequel. And I think everyone is living their one and only life with no sequel. But I really took it upon myself to just understand that every moment, every second, every decision is mine.
Mm.
And I'm not trying to be my brothers. I'm not trying to be the other people. I'm not trying to be another artist, another band. It was just who am I and what am I doing? And I love this thought. What are you doing with your one and only life? And through my life, when I've asked that question, not that many people understood the question. And it's such an important question to ask, because
Right.
that's where you find love, understanding, and forgiveness.
Yes.
And don't waste your time um, with the people that talk about you, don't like you, or a situation that's bad. We all make those decisions, even
Right.
though you know you're one time around.
Yeah. But it's like your purpose and your intention was so clear from a young age, and it was about songwriting, but the songwriting brought you to so many other places. Like I've seen you the last few years. I come to your Christmas concert every year in Montreal, and I bring my son now, and he's a fan. So you have like young fans right now, which is really cool. Like there's a nice like resurgence of like, 60s and 70s and that kind
Yeah.
of rock, which I love that. Yeah. So back to, yes, your Christmas concert is like you could have taken your sugar money and your rock me gently money and disappeared on a Greek island and just lived like a tycoon if you wanted to, but you are schlepping yourself with musicians without pay in Canadian winter to do these concerts. I mean, Canadian winter. I just have to say that like that's pretty much that's bigger than the music. That's bigger than the
Yeah.
songs, right?
Well, it's Montreal winter is what I knew.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I'm doing this um, for myself.
Okay, yes.
You
You
know,
feel
I'm
good
doing
about
this
thing. Yeah.
because there's a joy in my doing this. There's a joy in the fact that musicians, talented, hit records upon hit records, are willing to join us for
Yeah.
free
Yeah.
so we can help a charity. And it's it's never been about the money,
No,
that you
yeah.
make. It's always been about, so what are you doing with your one and only life?
Right, right, right.
And and I'm not here to tell someone else how to live their life. A lot of people would take the money and
Yeah.
live in the Bahamas, but maybe
Right.
that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to be around musicians all my life ever since I was a kid.
Right.
And it was kind of like a wonderful family of talent, and and I've always chosen an artist or two artists that uh, are just starting and
Yeah.
give them an opportunity.
Yes. It's giving back is so important. I was thinking about it, and it's like artists, like if you do what you love, you'll always feel young or you'll stay young or
Yeah.
you'll be inspired or
Yep.
motivated. And it's like you just did an album not that long ago with I've just blanked out on his name from Broken Social.
Yes, Kevin Drew of Brooklyn Social Scene.
Hey, Kevin Drew, and you won an indie award, right?
That is kind of the strangest thing.
Yeah,
But you
that's
know what? I grew up in an environment in New York
yeah,
um, where where I learned was the offices of Lieber and Stoller, who
right,
wrote Hound Dog and Jailhouse Rock for
yeah,
Elvis, and so many others. Um, Jeff Barry, Ellie Greenwich, Phil Spector, Be
right,
My Baby, the Do Run Run. So many. They're in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Um, but I was told early on as an artist, you're only as good as your last 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
right,
And so if you have a semi hit, you have an opportunity to make another record.
right,
And if that record does well, you have another opportunity. But it doesn't do well. If it doesn't, then they're in the business of having hits and making a living or
right.
making
It's
music.
for them, it's a business, pretty much.
Yeah, and I adored that business because knowing that you only have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in your life, you're
Mhm.
going to be inspired to do something.
Right,
And although there were years when nothing really happened, and then Rock Me Gently happens, and and so many other opportunities show up. I've been so grateful for everything.
Mm,
And even when I became irrelevant, I never thought of myself as irrelevant, just I'm living my life, doing what it is I want to do.
right. Because you always had your foot in a door of musicians at all times, right? Like you never completely came out of the scene.
No, I never had another job,
Right. Yeah. But
you know.
yeah, yeah.
But but I keep going back to the salvation for me
Mhm.
is having come upon the thought that, and I'm being redundant, that this is my one and only life. And so now, I'm not going to be here 50 years from now, nor do I want to be here 50 years from now. But I'm enjoying even the downtime or the times that people were not hearing any new music from me because I was always active in
Mhm.
helping others. And I think that started out when I was a kid and how we treated our neighbors and how our neighbors treated us. It was one wonderful community.
Right, right. I grew up in Park Extension in the 70s. I'm also an immigrant, so I'm Armenian, but we were born in Israel to tell you the truth. So I was also born in Israel with my parents. So we were Armenians living in Jerusalem, and then we came to Canada in the late 60s. So I know that feeling.
And why the Winterland of Montreal, by the way? Just
My father came first to Toronto and then he came to Montreal. He loved Montreal. He came in 67 and he just loved it. I don't know. He wanted to be here. Like he has family that went to different places, but
yeah.
he chose Montreal and he just loved it here. And we have generations. Even we brought my grandmother here. She was like in her 60s or 70s when she came. So yeah, we all came down. Yeah,
Well, it is a cosmopolitan city. I
yeah,
mean, you have everything,
right, right.
you know, and so that's my favorite part of Montreal. You've got all sorts of sections, but all those communities really kind of bond together through
Yeah,
the grace of God or whatever. And
right,
and
right. I think it's just a lot of those hoods, like you said, like was it kind of Outremont where you grew up, or what is it called now? Plateau, or they've
well,
gentrified.
I don't know well, I'll put it this way. I'm a block away, an alley block away from Jean Talon Market. So
Okay, yeah,
what would I have no idea. I don't know if it's Outremont or whatever it's called. It was called home at one point.
right. No, no, I know. But you know what was cool about that? I'm getting off topic, but you had the Greeks and the Italians and the Armenians and the Portuguese, and we all went to each other's houses and we ate each
Yeah.
other's food.
Yeah.
I like that about it. You felt, people spoke different languages, but you were all generally speaking the same language.
Yeah. And I think that when I was growing up, and my two older brothers
Mhm.
especially, um, th that environment is exactly what you talked about. It was about uh, your next door neighbor or the person that lived in the tenement, a, a block away
Right.
was a family member. They would come knock on the door.
Yeah.
My mother would go and into the pantry to get
Yeah.
cookies out because she thought company was coming.
Right. Right.
I heard a joke recently that said, today, someone rings your doorbell, people hide.
That's Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And
saw
it
that.
was
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah.
It was so true. So, how did we get here?
My mom and my grandmother always had a cake. They always made a homemade cake, and that cake stayed in the kitchen. Don't touch the cake, someone's going to come. We didn't know who was going to come or when they were going to come, but that cake is for company, and it was a homemade cake, right? Do you remember? Yeah, like your mom with the cookies.
Absolutely. And my mom was the best cook. She
Uh,
cooked, cooked all the Lebanese,
mm,
pastries and dinners.
yeah.
But I I'm sad to think that we're losing that ability to, have someone ring a doorbell.
Yeah, that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It is. But you know what? I'm going to bring it back to your Christmas show. I mean, this talk isn't supposed to all be about your Christmas show, but that was my exposure to you in the last few years, right? Because where would I see you? And like I said, I bring my son, and I love your Christmas concert. And I see you when you're on stage with the band or with all the musicians, and you have that sense of community. And I can tell that everyone's happy to be there and everyone's really enjoying themselves. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, that's it. That must make you feel really great that you put that all together.
What's great is none of the artists, from the Bare Naked Ladies to Nelly Furtado to,
Hmm.
as I mentioned, Alex Lifeson or Tom Cochran or or so many of the other really big artists that came to the shows in Toronto and Montreal. Um, there's no ego there,
I know. Yeah.
and so because I basically don't have the ego of thinking, well, I'm better than you, or I do. None of that stuff exists in my life. And I think everybody's picked up on the fact that we're here to help. We're here as uh,
And service.
the pilgrims showing up to do a concert.
Yeah, you're serving the community.
Yeah. And I was going to say my first shows in Toronto were $25.
Yeah.
It's the only and I hope no one takes this the wrong way. The only people that I created my Christmas shows for are the people who take the subway, the bus, the streetcar, or have to walk to work. And I figured the environment of artists that I would have would be a $200 ticket these days.
Well, yeah, I know.
But I keep it as low as possible because that's what I want.
Right. Right. And all the money goes to charity as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's happening now with you? What are you up to lately?
I, you know what? I'm just talking to you. It's a
Okay.
pleasure. I
Thank you.
hope to meet you in person one day.
You know, my son wanted
Um,
to meet you last time you were here. He was like, because sometimes I'll introduce him to artists, and he kept saying, "I want to meet Andy Kim," and I'm like, "Okay, one day you will." But God willing, maybe this Christmas if you come,
yeah,
we'll see you. We
I would
like,
love that.
yeah.
Um,
Mm.
basically, Kevin, Drew, and I are getting together. We're writing
Oh,
songs, so we're going to go into the studio. Look, because of him and because of that album, um, so many, it's another generation. And
yeah.
it just kind of opened up um, just so many experiences for me. So sometimes I think I'm on the back porch of my days, and then I get together with Kevin, and it's seamless. I'm
I like,
having a great life. I'm having a great time, and I'm
well,
really honored that so many people have loved my music and are celebrating this song with me after 50 years.
well, I was thinking, like you and Mick Jagger are still
Well,
performing.
I
And
don't know if I put myself in that category, but
no, I'm talking the age
age-wise,
the age wise, like, and I've seen him, like he's so limber, and I've seen you too, and you're up there, and it's winter time, like, you could be, anyways, I'm not gonna, Canadian winters, how they are. But doing what you love, doing what you enjoy, not just keeps you young mentally, but keeps you healthy. But when you're happy, of course, it doesn't feel like work, right? Keeps you young at heart as well.
yeah, it's look, I'm going to ride this as long as God wants me to ride it.
Yeah.
Someone asked me recently, "Do you pray?" I say yes. I My evening prayer was thank you God for this day, and my morning prayer is thank you God for this day. That's it. C'est fini, c'est la guerre.
Yeah, yeah. I know I'm bringing this back again, but you're not interested in writing a biography at all?
I don't, the only interesting part of it for me
Hmm.
would be that I'm the third of four brothers whose parents came from the mountains of Lebanon. That's the story. So the story of my parents coming to Canada
Okay,
as strangers,
right.
um, and um, and meeting and falling in love and having two boys and waiting about, I don't know, 10, 12 years, whatever it is, having two other boys. And the household was filled with love.
Hmm.
Um, so if there's a book, I'm somewhere halfway through the book.
Okay. No, I'm sure people like, I know I would love to read like little anecdotes or little stories about, like when you got to New York and the people you met and, that aspect of it. Do you know what I mean? There was this HBO series years ago called Vinyl. I don't know if you ever saw it. Did you ever? I think
Yeah,
Mick Jagger
maybe.
was producing it, and it's basically the music scene in the 70s. So I find a lot of people are really fascinated about that. And you were right there. Like you were right in it when it was all happening. I find the 60s and 70s were such a pivotal moment in music history. That's what I meant, because you're like a walking history. I mean, you know so much. You've been to so many around so many musicians and situations where I'm sure you've got great stories to tell.
Well,
No pressure.
personally, I'm a pretty quiet guy.
Okay.
Um, I'm not a guy that wants to be at every party,
Yeah.
and so I don't see what I've done as anything unique and special.
Okay.
And so someone has to kind of talk me into doing something
Okay. Okay.
because on my own, I'm just
I get it. It's all about the music. You're a humble person and you're not interested in spotlight and all that stuff.
no, I am in the spotlight every now and then, but
Yeah.
the truth is that um, I was given I was given a gift
Hmm.
that I didn't know I had. I
Hmm.
went to New York City only knowing two chords, and that was my first hit. How'd we ever get this way? Two chords, and I played guitar um, with a matchbook, not a pick.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I started with a pick, and I didn't like the sound of it. I didn't like the way I was playing, basically. So, uh, so my brother Joseph, God rest his soul, is a chain smoker.
Oh,
As a teenager, and look, he's still alive and well, and has never been sick a day in his life, and he's up there in years.
hmm.
So I would take his matchbook covers and I I'd fold them in half and then I'd fold them in another half, and it just gave a sound.
Yeah.
If you hear songs like "Baby I Love You" and "Be My Baby" and "Shoot 'Em Up, Baby" and "So Good Together," a lot of the songs are just me playing a guitar five, six times throughout the whole song, and it's all put together, and there are crazy sounds that happen, and then you add the drums and bass and all of that, but it's all with them with a matchbook.
Wow. When that I didn't know that. That's crazy with a matchbook. Well, people play with all kinds of strange things. Yeah. But you got that sound from a matchbook.
Yeah, well, look, I don't think I'm your ordinary guy who sits there and, you know, bleeds over every word. It just either
Right,
comes
right,
or it doesn't come. And
right.
when it comes, it's like it's exciting. I mean, I'm writing today and I'm writing on the weekend. I started something that I'm excited about.
Cool.
What else is there?
You know, I'm gonna like, I'm an overthinker, and as I listen to you speak, and I've seen some of your interviews, I'm like, okay, how can I stop overthinking about things? And I see that you're not like you don't overthink it. It's like this is what it is what it is, let's go. You're not your foot is not in the past. It's still moving forward. And that's really cool. I like that.
You know, when I go on stage, I don't know what I'm going to say.
Okay.
So some people, I know that they've written it out and they've studied it and they go through the process of it all. I'd be tongue-tied trying to remember something. So
Mm,
it's spur of the moment.
mm-hmm. Okay.
And whatever comes out of my mouth, I have no idea if it's good, bad, or indifferent because it's gone the moment I say it. And I
Mm,
get inspired by the musicians there or the audience or the moment to say what I say, but I don't remember because it's not scripted, if that makes sense, you know?
it makes a lot of sense. You're spontaneous, and you're like your music, it's coming from your heart, and it's whatever you're believing in at the
Yeah.
time. So that's a rare gift, actually. Not everyone can be like that. And I think that's a testament to your longevity, and how after 50 years with this song, people love the song, not just that song, many other songs as well. And yeah, you know, well, I don't know what else to tell you, you know.
Well, you know what? Someone once said, and I don't remember who said it, to analyze is to paralyze.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
So I don't analyze anything. I'm in the moment, every
Right.
moment. And I'd
Had
never thought that I was, but having these conversations reminds me of that.
Yeah, like had you had one teeny tiny second of doubt in 19, what was the year you went to New York? What, 19?
1967 originally, but my
Okay.
first hit was 1968.
Okay, so in 1967, had you had that one little tiny bit of doubt of, maybe I should stay home, maybe I shouldn't go to New York, like what would have happened? Do you know what I mean? Like you
I
didn't over.
never think that. I never think, you know what? I I actually saw my life unfold in the Brill Building with iconic musicians and artists and songwriters around me and was happy to be part of the playground. And that I'm not looking to be king of it. I'm not looking to own it. I
I
just
know.
I just want to be part of the playground. And
Yeah.
that's what makes me happy.
And I'm very happy that you're still playing in the playground and you're still, healthy and creating music and performing for us. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you again in December.
It'll be fun again.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
your
much.
time.
Thank you so much for speaking with us.
God
Take care.
bless you.